Oh, all the time.
It makes me feel all right.
Would you like to dance with me? We're doing the cosmic swap. Would you like to dance with me? We're doing the cosmic swap.
As I don't curse him out, and as long as I don't threaten him, I can say what I want. Am I correct? Yes, sir. We sick and tired of that nigga there.
Damn, I think I left my phone downstairs. Let's see. Oh, the motherfucker's up here somewhere. Good. Must be in my pocket. That's the kind of shit old people go through. Where is the motherfucker?
Agree she's your enemy.
She's the wife of Lyndon Johnson. I consider Lyndon Johnson my enemy.
And she's the wife of your enemy.
Right.
You consider all white people your enemy?
Most of them.
Most of them. Where do you make exceptions?
There are some good white people in this country. In fact, I had some of my best friends are white.
I see.
Well, greetings. This is the Chocolate Mountain Show. Oh, shit. Got the motherfucker all on backwards. It looked good on backwards, though. I didn't mind it like that. Wow, I kind of like it like that a little better. But I think it goes like that. And it's the smaller brim. Greetings to anyone. Hey, Big Stank, thank you for joining. This is my weekly outcome show. I did it after last night's game. And after last night's game, you know, I had been rolling with the Cowboys all year, and I was just like kind of frustrated. Even though I looked at the thing, I was like, still, you never know what they're going to do. So I ended up 9-6 for the week. And the games I won was Miami, Buffalo, Houston, Bears, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Denver, Philadelphia. I lost the Raiders, I lost the Chargers, I lost the Giants, and I lost Atlanta. Oh, and I had the Pats, too. I had the Pats. And let me see if I can pull up Week 11 schedule. What I was saying, I think, came true about the home games. Let me see if I can pull this up. See if I still got it where I can pull this up. No, I don't want it there. I guess I got to do my search. Oh, yeah, here we go. Let me see if it'll give me the Week 11 results. All right. Let me see. I can share that. Now, one thing I was looking at, I was like, are they going to turn around and have a lot of teams win on the road? And I would dare say almost. I mean, I was pointing out to the one game that was going to highlight, let's see, this game. Okay. Yeah, let's go back. The one game that was going to show, where is it? How the day was going to go. Why am I not finding it? Oh, right here. This to me was kind of a hint how the day was going to go. Where we see the Bears winning on the road. We saw the Panthers winning on the road. We saw the Packers winning on the road. We saw the Texans winning on the road. We saw the 49ers winning on the road. We saw the Ravens win on the road. And I thought that was a big hint. And even though that's almost about half the games, we saw kind of, and I said the Vikings-Bears games was going to be an indication of us seeing a lot of road games. And again, when you look at how it's scripted, you know, and you're trying to figure out which ways that it's scripted, this was, to me, a good indication of how they were going to script games. And and really, I should have looked at the Cowboys game as like that as well. If I would have been paying more attention, I really should have looked at that Cowboys game as a game that was going to be scripted for the way teams to win. So, oh man, we got the Bills and Texans on Week 12. Week 12. And that's Thursday. We got the Bills and Texans on Thursdays. And I'm already going to say I'm going to go with the Bills. So, that was, to me, a big indication of of how they were going to script it. And, in most cases it was kind of right. And I admit I'm at 50, what were we at? I'm at about 52, 53% of my predictions. And I just follow it. And I've been following football since the days of the AFL and NFL. I was in kindergarten in 1966, so I was well aware of sports. I mean, hell, I was aware of Batman and Green Hornet, so I was definitely aware of the NFL. Just my stepfather's love of football is really what took my interest. This was something we did, and he emphasized. He was like, one thing he emphasized was like, watch all the brothers that play in the AFL, and that's why he watched it. And for those that really didn't know it, the AFL was on NBC originally. It was an NBC show originally. So yeah, the NFL on CBS, yeah, the AFL on NBC. So that's why you go back to the Heidi game when they cut off it was the AFC what was it, the AFC Championship game to go to the Super Bowl. They cut off the game. They cut off the Raiders winning. So that's how I came up with my picks this weekend. So and I just, one thing that proved true, that I said that really did prove true, was when they let Sanders play. And I said again, it's like no matter what quarterback was going to be back there was going to struggle, just for the matter of them not having a good team. And that's that wasn't a surprise. And I think they hurt him more by not giving him, enough first team reps. Not throwing to, because he's playing scout team for the most part, which means you're pretending to be the other team. You're the other team. So you're running the other team's routes, the other team's plays. That's what the scout quarterback does. And so, I mean, it's all a humiliation ritual. And just like I said, I think with Super Slide, one thing that oh, what happened? Oh, I've got this totally turned around. I'm proud I did that. But anyway, Geno Smith is still in the league, as we saw play last night, and throw damn near 50 passes. So Shador is going to be fine. Quarterback is a position we see that people play at a very old age. George Blanda, I think, was the oldest at 47 or 48 years old. He was older than even Brady was when he retired. And George Blanda played football in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. He played in four decades. Because he got drafted in 48 or 49 by the Bears. So he played in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and he played in the 70s. And I don't think anybody has come, well, Brady came close, but hasn't played as long. So it's a position that, and again, the quarterbacks weren't as mobile, weren't running as much. But Shador is, you could really look at Shador as like a Doug Williams kind of guy. That's really just was built just to pretty much stand back there. And I think his criticisms is fair. He does kind of wander in the pocket instead of kind of staying there, stepping up, sidestepping. He kind of wanders one way or the other as he's looking for his targets to come open. And that's, to me, that's a fair evaluation of his talent. Those are habits that, and we're looking now, when we look at Kansas or at Colorado, we're seeing that, the coaching isn't the greatest. It's not the greatest. And so that's just something that has to be considered is his coaching. He hasn't had great quarterback coaching up to this point. And so, just considering all that, in any of that, I'm just reading here. It says that the Goldman is still trying to get OJ's bread. Said it was liable but it doesn't mean Frank will collect anywhere near that much. The state's still going around 500 to 1 million in total assets, so they're saying there ain't that much money there. And because his OJ's pension stopped, so. They said that with interest and stuff is 58 million, but they won't get any near that. They won't get anywhere near that. So they're gonna only get they might get $1 million out of it. They made him tear down his house, but they're not gonna get anything near of what was promised to them. But back to Shador. So, I mean, I don't think anybody was surprised. They're not a very good team. They don't have a very good line, and that's the key is a cohesive line. I mean, the Vikings suffer from that as well. You know, they suffer from that as well. And we saw that Sunday. If you don't have a good line in front of you, it makes you struggle. And you know, drops don't help either. In Shador's case, it was several drops. So that doesn't help either. But we saw the same thing with Geno. We saw it with Geno and Dak. We saw Cowboys. Lamb dropped the ball that really should have been catchable and a touchdown at the end of the game. And to me, that goes into, you know, having earbuds where they like, no, we don't want to change the score. The gamblers like the score, so let's keep it for like what it is. Gamblers like the score, so let's keep it like it is. So I think that's what we saw. We saw a gambling decision, you know, point spread decision, total points, and that's why they did not want that final score by Lamb, because obviously, and that's why I said they all have earbuds. It ain't just the quarterbacks; it's all of them. All of them have earbuds. All of them are told what to do, like a video game. And so, you know, when we look at sports entertainment, that's, you know, we see what it is. It's just like a movie. It's sports entertainment. Um, and nothing more and nothing less. It's predetermined. There's nothing new or nothing original about it. It is just entertainment, and it's barely sense. So, and it's been, you know, again, I always go back to Ken Burns' baseball documentary where they said, you know, we'll win here and you'll win there, you know, to get fan interest, because that's what it was. Is they like, we need to get people's interests. Like Hugh Plow, I think Hugh Pugh, I think is his name, was the first professional football player, was given $500 to play with a what would be considered nowadays a sandlot team, really. But it was a local team. They was willing to give a Yale player $500 to play in a game, and that was the first professional football player. And it's free agent, you know, aspect, you know, and just like baseball, you know, baseball was once ran by the players, now it's ran by owners who said that it was fixed, and the players knew it was fixed, but it wasn't fixed by the owners. It was fixed by the players. So that's how they got rid of the players owning the teams and owners. And that's when I mentioned several times before, that's what we get into when we get into the 1919 Black Sox, is the players fixed it and not the owners. And that's why they came down so hard on a few of the players. You know, Shoeless Joe was probably the one that got hurt the most. And so now, you know, that's even why, you know, they come after the college players, they come after the pros. It's the players. When the players, you know, they know it's fixed, and when they try to make a little more off the fix, which you would say, you know, is that greed? Yeah, they're all greedy. The owners are greedy. All of them are greedy. See, it's right. 2 Major League Baseball stars face 65 million in prison for rigging scheme, but the whole sports is rigged. Now, do you think these guys are going to tell that it's already rigged and we're trying to make more money? Allegations that Cleveland Guardian pitchers Emmanuel Chase and Luis Ortiz were implicated in a scheme to manipulate pitch outcomes for gambling profit. Reports suggest that federal investigators have looked into the claims that both players have been conspired to alter in-game performance, raising serious concerns over the sport's integrity. But again, the sport's integrity, I mean, you're going after people that is already knows that it's fixed. You know, football was never real. None of the sports were ever real. I mean, really, you even go back to college, and when college was more popular in the 20s and 30s. You know, people don't understand that NFL didn't really get popular until the 50s. Not really. I mean, up until the you know, World War II, when I mean, World War II kind of killed the popularity of college football more than anything else, because you had all the players leaving college football and going into. Now, some people, you know, tie it back to Red Grange made college football popular, not pro. And Red Grange, again, he went on, you know, he signed with the Bears, and the mistake he made is he should have got a piece of the Bears, because later he left the Bears and tried to run his own team, barnstorming team. But the mistake he made was give me a piece of the Bears. And then that would have left, generational money for him and his family. Even having just, a small piece, but he could have negotiated that. And I've got a book back there that tells all the different teams, and it's like it was a couple different Detroit Lions. I mean, and it's funny, like I've said, the Lions will never win the Super Bowl, not in my lifetime. I'm 64. I'll be 65 in 26, and they'll never win the Super Bowl. And I think we can say the same thing for the Cardinals, Seattle. You see, Cardinals, Seattle, the Titans, and the Panthers. I don't think any of those teams, but two of the oldest NFL franchises that we have is the Cardinals and the Lions. They're two of the oldest franchises. I mean, this variation of the Lions, I think, came from the 30s. I think the original Lions was in the 20s when the NFL stopped, but then it was, also called the Portsmouth Spartans, was what they were called at one point. Where then when you go back to like Michigan, University of Michigan and Michigan State, they've had college teams since the 1890s. So college football is much older than NFL football. But again, both of them have always been scripted. And that's why, I tell people, if you don't, it's that movie, Horse Feathers. The Horse Feathers movies with the Marx Brothers tells the story of fixed sports back even then. How you could buy players back even then. The Three Stooges also made a remake of that movie, if you want to look that up. They made a copy of Horse Feathers, how they're trying to pay players to come into the league, come into their team, or come to their college. So college has always been something that was scripted. It was never something that was real. And so that's interesting when they go after players. So it's nothing new. It's nothing new. It's just the same old stories. They're trying to keep these names alive. Jalen Hurt lives in a 2,000-month rental apartment in New Jersey, despite his. I mean, why are they always counting people bread? I mean, that's it's like, how often do they count the European players' bread? Not very often, but it's always wanting to count brothers' bread. 21 professional athletes who served time in jail. Okay, I'll bite on that one. Okay, here we go. I'll bite on this one. 21 athletes who served time in jail. Aaron Hernandez, Art Schluster, that went to Ohio State, gambling. Billy Cannon, I think Billy Cannon went as an older person. Billy Cannon got a Heisman. Well, he was arrested in conspiracy, possession of counterfeit money. This nigga was doing, let me see, came 6-figure worth more than double he would have earned. In retirement, Cannon, a thriving dental practice, reportedly lost much of his money gambling and bad investments turned to crime. He was arrested and discovered to have millions in counterfeit bills. Wow. Craig McIntosh. This was a hockey player. What did he go to jail? Oh, he killed somebody while he was drunk. I think Darryl Strawberry just went to jail. Yeah, possession of cocaine. He's driving around with that coke. He received probation but violated terms when he tested positive, so he should have went into treatment. Eventually, 11 months. He got 11 months in jail or prison. He is now clean and sober. Wow. Esteban Loaz. I don't know who he is. Drug possession. He's arrested in California, found more than 40 pounds of cocaine in a secret compartment. Wow. Jason Williams that shot the dude fucking around with a gun because he was drunk. Suddenly ended after Williams was showing off his shotgun to his chauffeur and some of his friends when the gun went off, striking and killing him. Some of these testified that Williams told him to help cover up the shooting. Williams was sentenced to 5 years. He sent 18 months in prison. He also served 8 months sentence stemming from a DUI, so he didn't learn. Lenny Dykstra, this is an interesting one because he had really big financial guy that they was pushing, but again, grand theft auto, bank fraud, a different way. He was convicted of bankruptcy fraud after selling property that was all part of his bankruptcy. He served over 6 months. He faced numerous harassment allegations, received a 9-month sentence for indecent exposure for using Craigslist to lure women to his advertisement ad, housekeeping. He was charged with making terrorist threats and served for drug offensive. Matt Bush. I don't remember Matt Bush. Oh, okay. DUI, leaving the scene of accident. Mercury Morris. I think it's going to be cocaine with Mercury Morris. Yeah, cocaine trafficking. But after retirement, Morris was arrested for cocaine bust. He's initially convicted on 4 charges relating to drug trafficking. After 3 years, his conviction was overturned. He pleaded no contest and was sentenced to time served. Wow. Mike Vick, again, if you look at the Mike Vick case, this was one of the biggest shamings of all time. But again, it's better to be shamed. But again, it took his peak away. I mean, that was the biggest crime that happened to Michael Vick. It took his peak away because it was 2 people that got charged in the same area that Michael Vick was charged. It was their second offense. And again, they just paid fines for the same thing charged as Michael Vick. The exact same thing. And it was their second time of being charged for dogfighting. And yeah. OJ. Yeah, this OJ shit was he really in prison? Orlando Cepeda, what did Orlando smuggle? Rest of Puerto Rico after picking up 100 pounds at the airport. It was 5 years, but got out just 10 months. Okay, so they gave him a pat on the back. Who was this brother? Who was he? Patrick Coyote. Oh, okay. Robbery. Whoa. He admitted robbing 2 different banks earlier that month and was sentenced to 30 years. I thought bank robbery was 5. This was Harley's first run-in with the law. He had previous criminal record, including armed assault, drug charges. New York was found with 30 pounds of marijuana. Wow, he robbed 2 banks. God damn. And of course, Pete Rose, tax evasion. They wanted to get him. Ray Caruth, he's been in life. He got 20 years. He's out now. Yeah, he's been out. Randall Woodfield. I don't know who he is. Convicted of multiple murder. Oh, this is the one that Vanity was with, I believe. Oh, Packers. Blah, 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 blah. Ryan Leaf was an idiot. Big bust. He's one of the biggest busts of all time. He was given. Yeah, Sam Hurd. I know it was drugs with Sam Hurd. Ubana, what did he do? Attempted murder. His career came to a grinding halt this season when he was arrested on attempted murder charges. Workers on the ranch said him and other men attacked them with machetes, tried to pour gasoline on them and blaze them, though he initially denied it. Wow, Vita Blue, man. I got a friend, I nicknamed Vita Blue. Yeah, drug possession. Caught along with others. Vita Blue making 6 teams winning. Cy Young helping the A's and was caught in 83 with a cocaine bust. He was caught with 1/10 of an ounce. That wasn't very much. He got a year for 1/10 of an ounce, 9 months, which was suspended. Despite his sparkling career, he has not been in the Hall of Fame, leading to speculation involvement in drugs. Yeah, because he should have been. His first few years, he was a mug. Vita Blue was a great pitcher. I guess that's the end of it. Oh, man, that is a trip. That is a trip, y'all. But again, the shaming is better to be shamed than to be killed. And that's what we see a lot of times. Because when they kill you, that's the ultimate shaming. That's why they killed you. But, that's why we look at Eddie Murphy. You look at his latest Netflix thing. And one thing I'll say about it is, one thing I liked about it, again, is his art. And like when he did the Hunchback of Notre Dame, he knew the lines, which I was kind of amazed that he knew those lines to that story. And I've watched that story many times because it was really funny when I was a child. But he knew some of the lines. But it's just his art. Like he said, artists, try many different things. It's not just one thing, and so you've got to admire him for that. So it was well told. But again, the only really bad thing they can say that he did was he got caught in the car with a transsexual. That's it. And it goes into the shaming instead of killing you. And so it's better to be shamed than killed. And that's the same thing they did to Tiger Woods. Nobody cared about, who cared? What who he's boning. I mean, it was just the ultimate shaming to bring him down. And they've tried to kill Tiger Woods. When he tossed in that truck, they were trying to kill Tiger Woods. And I think what we know, he was getting chased, they say, is by his woman. I think it was some men chasing him. And he was able to, run into a tree to get attention to make him stop chasing him, because the damages that he had did not look like a woman did to him. Man kidnapped pregnant girlfriend to force her into abortion. Oh my goodness. It's just, the debauchery never stops. The debauchery, they bring it up. The truth about Bill Cosby's life in prison. Yeah, they just wanted it oil under his land. Oh, so. Yeah, he left, Giannis left the game last night. And Isaiah got to play. Dang, what is Isaiah's last name? No, not Isaiah, his brother from Texas. I think he was 44 last night. Playing center for Milwaukee. Got to play Isaiah's brother. I can't think of their name right now. But he got to play last night. He's from Minnesota. I forget what school they're from. Man, are y'all playoffs? Like check this out. Our high school championships are this week. damn near the end of November, and our high school football is still going on, where they're going to play at US Bank, I think this week. I think it's starting tomorrow. So that's how, and I only played one time in November in my college career. We played in a bowl game in November. That was it. That was the only time I got to play in November in football. 3 years of college football, I only played one game in November. Because we went from 9-3 to 3-8, 3-9 the next year. We weren't going into any bowl game. Oh, here we go. The cost of addiction. 25 celebrities who have lost their lives to smoking. Who do they got here? Who is this? George Harris. Wow. Nat King Cole. Walt Disney said he was a chain smoker. Victor French, Little House on the Prairie. Michael Landon. Yul Brynner, yeah, he makes a video. Yul Brynner makes a video. Humphrey Bogart, wow. Heavy smoker, it says. Even in his films, he smoked. Yeah, a lot of them couldn't quit smoking. Who is this? Catherine Jostin. I don't know who she is. I just hit up here. John Candy. He was overweight and he smoked. And let me see, 43-year-old due to heart attack. Although heart attacks aren't associated with cigarettes, this one was. He was a beast and struggled with anxiety, drank frequently, and smoked a pack of cigarettes a day. Wow. Claude Monet. Dean Martin. These are a lot of old people, young people wouldn't know. Patrick O'Neill. Look, cigarette in his hand here. It's ingraded. Patrick Swayze. Lifetime of smoking. Wow. Lifetime of smoking. Sammy Davis Jr. Wow. Vincent Scavalli had a long history of smoking. Most people start smoking when they're teenagers. Another unforgettable baseball making our list, he was a heavy smoker who smoked anything, including pipes, cigars, and cigarettes. After feeling a sharp, consistent pain in his eye, he went to the doctor, who found nasophiliac carinola at the base of his skull and neck. It was inoperable, still received treatment, becoming one of the first people to cancer to try drugs and radiation treatment. It wasn't successful, and he died at 53 years old. Wow. Hey, Jamar, thank you for joining. David Lynch, 8 years old. Said the guy started smoking at 8 years old. That is how attractive it looked. Betty Grable. Wow. Wow. This might be why so many best actors develop cancers with lung disease, including Barry Grable, a lifelong smoker. Grable developed lung cancer 1 year after, 56 years old. Wow. The Marlboro Man. I'm pretty sure that's who this is talking about. Cigarette died of smoking-related illnesses. Wow. Graham Chapman. Can you imagine starting smoking at 8 years old? So, I mean, that's, in my lifetime, most people started smoking cigarettes in junior high. It's very rare that people start late. Like my mother said, she started smoking at 20. and she smoked till she was about 28. So luckily she stopped. My stepfather, I don't think he quit smoking until he was in his 40s. And you look at pictures and you just, you just see all, you see like everybody, you watch old TV shows. Like I was surprised in this last Sean Penn movie that he wasn't smoking. I watched Sean Penn in one movie, he smoked in every scene. And Sean Penn is around my age. He smoked literally in every scene he was in, he had a cigarette. And that's how obsessed people were. I mean, you guys don't, if you, in my generation, you could smoke everywhere. It wasn't until the 80s, late 80s that, for those of you remember that it was smoking and non-smoking um, parts of the restaurants. I don't know if a lot of y'all even remember that because I think my oldest is 30. So if you're younger than 30, you was little when that was put in because you went in a restaurant, they said smoking or non-smoking. That is how much cigarette smokers fought against non-smoking. That's how much they fought against it for non-smoking facilities. In the 90s, I was well in my 30s by that time, and I've never smoked cigarettes. Now I smoke weed, and I chew on tobacco, but weed has a lot of other ways. They got drops and all the things, and they're going after the drops and the drinks. And you know why? Like right now, they put legislation in this new bill that opened the government back up to attack hemp and hemp-derived products. And most hemp-derived products, when you get a drink, it has between 5 milliliters or milligrams and 10 milligrams of THC. So they're not going to change the laws on flour. But what they're attacking is they're attacking drinks. They're attacking lotions that just have THC healing power. They're attacking all these kind of things. And you know why they're attacking them? Because people ain't buying cigarettes. People ain't buying liquor. These drinks are taking the place of liquor and cigarettes. And so the liquor, like especially Kentucky was the leaders of banning this. Kentucky is big for what? Liquor. And so people aren't buying liquor and cigarettes as often as they used to, especially now weed's legal. You're going to get a lot more out of smoking a joint than you are a cigarette. I mean, I chew on tobacco and it's just common. That's all. That's all a cigarette is a calming agent. But weed can be way more calming, 1,000 more. Like a cigarette ain't gonna get your whole body calm. Cigarette is more mental. It's all mental, really. Damn. Mom who forced baby daughter to get unnecessary feeding tube collected $96,000. Damn. The debauchery never stops, y'all. Oh, but yeah, that's the reason why you see this new law. It's because of smoking and liquor. People would way rather, smoke some weed, eat a gummy, eat a cookie, than smoke a cigarette. In some instances, even take a drink. I mean, if I showed you, if I could find a list of celebrities that died from liquor, I mean, I'd even say in my own self, I could drink a couple beers every day. I could probably drink 3 beers every day. I really could. I could easily drink 3 beers a day. But again, at my age, it's liquor is just every day is not good for you. That's why I've kind of just went to the weekends where I just drink some beers on either Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday but I could easily drink every day. I mean, it's so ingrained. It's so ingrained into America where you could just drink every day, literally every day. And I saw a list one time of Hollywood people and how much they drink. Some people can drink a fifth a day. Like my wife has a friend that drank herself literally to death, and she was drinking like a fifth and a half a day. That's I could barely stand two liquors with a bunch of shit in it. And the one that fools people is wine. Because wine only has maybe 4 glasses in each bottle. And if it's 2 people, you could probably get 2 fairly big glasses of wine a piece. And it's so easy and free, I don't like, I like bitters, but I don't like that type of bitter. I never liked wine, but I mean, the easiness of wine to drink and the people that can become alcoholics out of wine and beer, and beer. Now, I'll be the first to admit, I had a great problem with beer. I told, the worst I ever knew was one of my uncles. Well, one of my aunt's brothers. And this guy, and I've told this story many times, this guy would wake up and drink a 6-pack before he went to work. Wake up and drink a 6-pack. He would take a 6-pack to work with him. Now, let me stop. No. He would go to work and he would take a 12-pack. And he would drink that 12-pack by the time around noonish. And then at work, he would switch and get 6 more beers. And then he'd buy another case when he got home. And he literally drank about a case of beer every day. Every day he drank about a case of beer. And by the time he was in his late 40s, they found him passed out, and he passed out from alcohol poisoning. They had to drain a hole in his head to release some of the alcohol pressure, and it left him slower. So, it's drinking is like in France, children, just now they stopped giving alcohol to children in France because it's so ingrained, and they had bad water. That's what you have to understand about France is they had bad water, so everybody drank wine because the water was so bad. So we kind of give them an understanding of that. But it's just ingrained, and that's how smoking used to be. Smoking used to be ingrained the same exact way. It was just, people didn't know what to do with their hands. I knew a lady dying or had went through radiation and from smoking. And she said that if it wasn't for the cancer, she'd have smoked her whole life. She'd have never stopped. I mean, everything she did, she said, I like smoking a cigarette when I wake up. She said, I like smoking a cigarette right after I eat. I like smoking a cigarette when I start cleaning the house, doing chores. I mean, I think my ex-wife's grandfather, he had the shirt, the cigarette pocket, and he would take 2 packs to work every day. Every day he would smoke about 2 packs. And he didn't die from any throat cancer or anything. He was kind of a bigger guy. He probably, when he died, weighed 270, 280, and he was only about 5'8". So, he didn't really die from smoking, but again, and he lived until his 70s. So, but smoking is such an ingrained part of America, and drinking too. So, break the thing. Oh, here's one. Now, I don't know if this is true propaganda or not, but they say that this cat here, now I don't know if it's propaganda, but they say his grandparents were both Jewish faith. So you do your own research. Again, I just came across it, but they were saying that even though he's a Muslim, that both his grandparents were Jewish. So could be. I don't know. Have to do your own research or something. I'm hearing a lot of people mimic is look it up, which I came up with about 3 years ago because everybody was like, you got to show us, you got to have receipts. No, do your own fucking research, You prove what I'm saying is not right. BYU's Kennard Davis cited for DUI and marijuana. Damn, you drunk and high. Oh, how long have I gone good? I wasn't gonna go on too long, y'all. This is not gonna be a long. What happened to Stephen Diggs? It took a bit. What's happening to him? Diggs was involved in that incident Thursday against the Jets. Our pro receiver was receiving a huge cornerback. The Jets penalized for unnecessary roughness. The incident was drawn. A final decision. Oh, okay. New England. Okay. Second after.
On 2nd and 10.
Oh, he just got racked up.
Protection is good. Pass is good. And to the 39
that's right. He got body slammed.
Diggs.
That's not. That is nothing. He just got body slammed, which, you look up when Terry Bradshaw got body slammed by Larry Yelly from the Cowboys. He picked him up literally after a pass. He picks him up and throws him on the head. Now, I don't think they called anything for that. I do not think they called anything for that penalty. So the game was much tougher, much rougher. Even in my lifetime, game was much tougher, much rougher. We were taught to, when I was first taught how to tackle, I was taught to lower my head and put my head into their chest. That was how they taught me to tackle. And I first started playing football, and I was in fourth grade, so that was probably, let me see, 69, 70, I was in third. So 70, 71, I was in fourth, and that was my first year playing football. 70, 71. Yeah. I started playing baseball, I think, at 5. I did not play basketball until 5th grade, on the 5th grade team. I think I went to a couple camps before I was on a team, though. So, but we were taught to lower your head and put your head in the chest. And then by the time I was in high school, they modified it to keep your head up and put your face in their chest. You were still leading with your head, but they modified it. And I played with one dude, I bet he could knock down a building when he lowered his head. He put his head down. He could have probably knocked some shit down because the way he hit, I mean, he could really thump hard. But that's a way to break your neck. Man, I don't think he got shot and killed, so it wasn't the way it took him out. But I mean, so it's changed even the way they teach you to tackle. Now they teach you just to put your shoulder into their waist. That's what's taught now. Watch their waist and then shoot and try to grab them tackle them by the waist and legs. And now you can't even tackle them, tackle them and drag them down. That was a way. And it's funny, if you look at rugby, there's no pads nor anything. American or Australian rules football is very similar, but rugby, specifically, I mean, very physical sport. There's a collision on every move is a collision. So, but you don't see the long-term effects, I don't think, from rugby. And I don't really know and haven't looked at the research, but from appearances, it doesn't even look like players in Canada get hurt and have the issues that the American players have. And what's interesting is Canada is shortening their field. They're starting to, because right now their field is 120 yards long. It's 20 yards in each end zone. And I think it's 60 yards wide. So it's a wider field and a longer field. Now they're going to change some of that. They're going to put they're going to change where you don't get a point for missing the field goal, kicking it in, or a punt. I think it's kicking. If you miss a field goal, but it goes in the end zone, I think that's still a point, which goes back to rugby rules. And that's why Canadians claim 105 years of championships. But a lot of that, if you really look at that, a lot of that is rugby. It wasn't football. I mean, modern Canadian football only goes back to the 50s. But it's more of a passing league. But again, I don't think we have the injuries there that we have, And I told you, I played with one of my homeboys, and he did have, he ended up with Alzheimer's, dementia, but I think really what probably started it all was CTE. And if I said before, every day that he practiced in college, he bumped heads as an offensive lineman. And when I played, the 2 years I played with him, he never played. He was just, he was on the team. But when you don't play, you're on the scout team. So every day on the scout team, he was going full contact. And then, you imagine an offensive lineman, the number of blocking drills is like, it's constant contact. Where me as a receiver, when am I really having contact? Even 7-on-7 is not full contact. You're not tackling anybody. You're just trying to stop. You're not tackling people. So the amount of hits I had compared to, even though I played, the amount of hits I had compared to the amounts of hits he had, he was double, triple what I was, And I don't know if they ever looked into it or dedicated his brain, to be studied, but I'm pretty sure he had CTE too. I think that's what gave him early Alzheimer's, and I don't think it was looked at when it should have been. And that's, when anybody that says, players shouldn't get paid, that's what you're not considering is, the amount of hits and stuff that a player gets in college. I mean, really, even the amount of hits you get in high school, they found dudes who've killed themselves that had CTE in the 20s or like 20. I think the guy I'm thinking about, he was 20. He is just 1 or 2 years in his college career and killed himself. And they looked at it, he had CTE from high school and college. And I mean, think about it. You can play football. You can start now at 5. That's no equipment. By the time you're 7 or 8, you have equipment. And I think really you shouldn't have equipment until probably 10th grade. But that's not how it is. I mean, equipment is, 8, 9-year-olds have equipment. I know when my son was in 5th grade, what's 5th grade? 9, 10, something like that. I saw him have a concussion one game, or just practice. He popped the shit out of somebody, and I could tell it rung his bell. So that's why they deserve at every level to get paid. Every level. I mean, high school, college, they should get paid. And so, because the amount of pain and suffering that you can have. I mean, I've had both my knees surgery. I've broken every finger on my hand. I didn't break them at work. Sports related, every finger. Sports related, everything finger. Right now, I could probably get my thumbs replaced. I probably could get my thumbs replaced right now. I got braces that I sleep on every night to keep my hands, because it's like I have such deterioration in here. This is where the deterioration starts. I have limited movement in my thumb. Can't really move it like you're supposed to. So I sleep with braces on my hands every night to keep my hands kind of like this, because my hands want to fold in. That's what happens. This is what, just naturally, this is what my hands want to do. They want to fold in, and they want to keep them, like this. But if you see, just my natural resting, my hands kind of want to fold in. I mean, look at this. This is about, I can't even touch my palm with this finger, and then this one, nowhere near. See that? Should be able to touch your palms easy. But I can't with my small fingers. So it's a lot of pain and suffering, that just is lifetime. It's not anything that goes away. As you get older, it gets worse. And so for those of you who don't think they should be getting paid for, and it doesn't matter that it's script. It's like wrestling. The falls are real. The falls are real. So keep that in mind. The falls are real. In wrestling, you still got to fall. You still got to get tackled and you fall down. You still, collision. Football's a collision sport. So you still get the collisions. So, and even, even guys that play basketball, I have a friend that he played a little bit of college basketball. He played some Army basketball, but, and as children, the amount of basketball, if you love basketball, the amount of basketball you play as a young person is just unimaginable. I mean, I can't tell you. I've played on every kind. I played on concrete, which is horrible for your legs. I've played on concrete. Most of the time it's blacktop, but it's still, day in and day out. Day in and day out of just playing outside, playing on hard surfaces. It hurts you. And then, the shoes, if you look at my lifetime, the way the shoes were horrible up until really I was in 9th grade, when you could start getting the better shoes. And really, the shoes still, didn't really get better. I mean, even the Jordan 1s are not a great shoe for protecting your hips, protecting your feet. We looking at shoe development. I think really the first real good shoe was the New Balance, the Worthies. And that was 06, 07, where the shoes really had, really good insoles that would mold to your feet. The Worthy I bought, it must have been the summer of 6. No, probably the summer of 7. So those shoes were probably made in 2006 or 2007. So that was really the first time I was seeing a huge upgrade in the shoe. Because the Jordan 2s, not a huge upgrade. Jordan 3s, Jordan 4s are still horrible shoes if you wear them around. There's nothing in them. Now, these ones back behind me, the Jordan 40s, I mean, yeah, those shoes back there, I mean, that's a big jump. It's a big jump in that shoe, to how they protect your feet. And, if you look at the shoe worn the most, it's Kobe's. Kobe's is the shoe that's worn the most. And it doesn't have as much as the Jordan 40 as far as technology. It has some of the basic technology in it. Doesn't have the full technology that you see, but with insoles, for some players, that's enough. And that's why, you really don't see players, new players that play outside. Young people don't play outside like I did and like some other people did. They should be getting paid at every level. Yeah, yeah. I mean, high school too. In high school, they want to take that away from high school, but you're still taking hits. I had my first concussion in high school. Then I had another concussion in college. I still played. I had a concussion and still played. I had a concussion in the first half. I mean, I had like made a play where I almost scored. I got tackled on the 1 or 2 and got hit by 2 people head to head. And I was able to stand up, but I was just standing in the end zone, knocked out, literally knocked out. Oh man, I want to share this experience with you. I've been listening to Rick James Big Time. I don't know if you guys hip to that, but Rick James is called Big Time, and it just brings back a memory of when that song came out. We were playing South Carolina in South Carolina State in a classic game in the old Meadowlands, is in New Jersey. The old Meadowlands where you had where I knew, oh man, where the Nassau Coliseum. It was the Nassau Coliseum, the Netherland, I'm all messed up, but it's where the Giants played, and it was the racetrack, the same racetrack, Meadowlands racetrack. That's what I'm trying to say. The Meadowlands racetrack, the Nassau Coliseum, and the old Giant Stadium where they said Jimmy Hoffa was buried. So we playing up there, we wearing suits. We go out to Broadway the night before, but even though we were staying in Alexandria, New York, I believe the George Washington Bridge goes right to New York. But anyway, we practiced in it the day before, and it was the first time they gave us cleat shoes, cleats, or turf shoes is what I meant. And I remember we practiced, and there was 2 dudes that were from each school. George Small played for the Giants. He played for the Giants. He was from A&T. And then Harry Carlson, that's in the Hall of Fame, he played for South Carolina State. So I got to meet Harry Carlson. And they were both had a bet going because they had just got done practicing. And here I am, and that turf wasn't like the turf when I first played on turf at Western Michigan University as a boy. We used to go on the weekends and play. And where I had learned that, on turf, you could wear tennis shoes and it would stick on frozen like turf tennis shoes did, just like you do on grass. So, I grew up kind of on turf, but this turf was like super thick and good turf. And then I get in the locker room, and I know this name may not mean a lot to you guys, but it was John Jefferson that later played for he played for the Chargers. And the way lockers back then wasn't, that great. They was just stalls, and they had put tape, and his name was over there. So I took that because the Chargers had played there previously, and I'm sitting there. But when I was listening to the song Big Time, that really was big time for me at that time, to play in that big, a place that holds 70,000 people. And it just, that I felt so hyped that, I was there. I was there. The things I done seen that stadium on TV, and there I was. And then before the game, Bobby Humphreys is playing the flute, and she's playing Lift Every Voice and Sing. And I'm just hitting my boy. I'm like, that's fucking Bobby Humphreys. She's right there. There's Bobby Humphreys. It's right there. And playing Lift Every Voice and Sing. So it was the first great moment of my sports career. It really was. It was the first really great moment of my sports career, to be there, to playing in the old Meadowlands Stadium, seeing an entertainer play. And the game, this was my second game. The quarterback could have hit me on a lot of slash routes, and that means the flanker is just slashing out, opening up. And later he did hit me, but he missed me. And at the end of the game, I did have a chance to win the game. But again, this is my second game. I didn't time my jump right in the end zone. And it was two dudes back there with me. And just my timing was wrong. Again, inexperience, and didn't make the catch. But just the moment was just one of the greatest moments in my life that I never forgot about. It was just a great moment. And Big Time was out, because it came off. I think Big Time came off the Super Freak album. Yeah, Big Time was on the Super Freak album. And so it was, it was the first Big Time. And later, and I'll say that game was televised as well as every game my junior and senior year. So playing on TV wasn't shit. I had played on TV, whereas my people back home was able to watch me. As I've said many times, BT games was on ESPN back when I played in 80, 81 in college. Our games was on ESPN, but we had the BET crew. BET cameras, it was BET signs everywhere and a few ESPN signs, but that's where everybody saw the games was on ESPN and not BET. And later, when we played in the bowl game, that was cool. Got to meet Cameo. I don't know. I know it's an old group. A lot of y'all might not even know who it is, but they stayed in the same hotel as we stayed in. And so I got to meet all them cats from Cameo. So it's just lifetime memories, y'all. Lifetime memories. Well, let me see. What is it? 43 degrees. It's cold. We were supposed to get not really a storm, but we're supposed to get, 2-3 inches of snow, and I don't think we did. I mean, it don't even look like it rained at all. It don't look like we got any, it is dry out there. It is dry out there. It's not, so it doesn't look like, it snowed at all. It's funny, I'm seeing my second thing of OJ. Again, they sucker. And this is what they do is when you start seeing old stars, that's whose energy they're trying to suck out at the time. Even though they're dead, because they were alive, they created a certain energy, and it seems like they can suck that energy out. That's why when you see all these magazines, and you still see magazines in stores, you wonder why you see magazines of all these old dead people. Again, they're still sucking energy from that person. And that, it never, it never goes away. It's a lifelong draining of that energy from that person. It's like you signed your soul to get your 2,000 yards, so you're gonna pay for it. And so that's why you will see, and it makes you wonder when you start seeing a bunch of old has-beens in the news. It makes you wonder. Like I've been wondering about Allen Iverson. Now I don't know if Zach, if Zach has kind of looked into any of that, any numbers around him, but it just made me wonder because I was wondering about Rodman a few years ago. He was popping up so much. Was it his time? Because we see that a lot. We see that when it's time for them, again to pay the piper, they kind of show you they're about to be taken out. So. But when we start seeing them, over and over again, even after they died, again, they're still sucking energy from them. And that's why you're seeing them. So. Billy Bob Thornton calls Angelina Jolie romance the greatest time of his life. Pawning after, I don't know. I think the greatest time of my life is right now. That's why I say be here now. That's what it's all about. Be here now. It's not what's coming in the future. It's not what happened in the past. It's being present all the time. And daydreaming doesn't get past adults. Adults daydream. Definitely adults daydream. But you've always got to be here now. You got to always be here now. There's no moment greater than right now. Even when it's bad, it's good because it's life. That's why a person would gladly accept life in prison to getting killed in 10 days, getting his head chopped off, hung, or however they do you in. They'll gladly accept them being killed, them being life in prison, because no matter that they got to be in prison, they're still alive. So that's why you have to look at it. Even when it's bad, it's still good because it's life. And life ain't always just good. I mean, it's like eating fruit. Sometimes the fruit is lovely and sometimes you get a piece that just ain't good. And that's life. It's just one part. And you just got to hang on, And find magic. And find magic. That is one way that we beat this is we create our own magic and we use our magic for our own benefits. You know, that's why, you know, the word pimp, a pimp is a person that nobody tells what to do. That's all a pimp is. It has, you know, a person that dresses well and a person that nobody tells what to do. That's a pimp. Has nothing to do with human trafficking, any kind of human trafficking. It's a person that is his own man. And that's what we don't see a lot. We don't see people that their own man. And I've told the story before about my uncles and my great uncle. My great uncle went to Michigan State just like my great grandfather did. And my great grandfather put on his stuff that when it came time from what he did, when he had to sign his draft cards because he was too old, you know, I work for myself. And being a farmer is not easy work, but you work for yourself. And his son he joined the fraternity at Michigan State, became part of the Boule, end up working 100 years at Southern University, not 100, but retired at Southern University. So he'd rather work for somebody else than work for himself. And my uncles was the same way. You know, they did not see the value in trying to work and keep the land, you know. Underperforming SJSU fires 2 coordinators and blowout losses. Who's SGA? Is this San Jose? Oh, San Jose State fired 2 of their coaches. I think Michael Vick did the same thing. I think he fired 2 of his coaches too. It's a cold business, boy. And now James, or is it Farmer that got fired from Penn State, that's about to get Virginia Tech. Instead of taking $49 million, they say he's taking $9 million because his other salary makes it up for it. He was going to get $9 million a year for the next 4 or 5 years, but they said he had to actively look for work. Well, I mean, you put in an application. Whoops. Oh, you put in an application. I wonder that cat bit on my thing. So, well, I think that's all I got today. I'll save some of it when I come back Thursday. If you viewed, thank you. You know. Oh, and I always gotta end with something positive and a little bit of spirituality. I don't try to beat people up with it because spirituality is pretty much my biggest essence for sure. But as I was saying, be here now is one of the biggest things, the biggest advice I can give everybody. You know, I know we get bored and everything, but it's like no greater moment than right now. And we are all born with magic. I mean, melanated people, I say even a little more. We are born with magic, but everybody, you're born with magic. That's just part of what this reality does. Be it fake, real, doesn't matter. Magic does exist, and you can create your own magic. Just like, you know, you create your own spiritual system and what works for you. Now, some people may say, you know, they get down on their hands and knees and pray to something outside of themselves and they say that works. Well, really, it all starts with you. And you have turned something on outside of yourself that can work for you or against you. But it's best to keep your power. That's the more stronger spiritual part of it, is to keep your own power. And don't look for anything spiritual outside of yourself because it's already inside of you. That's what the Gospel of Thomas talks about. It's outside and it's inside of you. The kingdom is inside of you. It's around you all the time and it's inside of you. So, all right, that's all I got. So thank you. This has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. Thank you for coming in with the Galactic